Hello my friends to this session, and in today's session I have channeled the Galactic Federation in order to query about three things in particular. The first one is about the forecast for 2022. Okay, now before you watch the session, you must remember that there are multiple possibilities. Okay, there are multiple timelines, and there is a possibility of a different timeline also happening. Okay, so they also say that in the session, but still they give us some wonderful information about what we can expect to see in the year 2022. Okay, which is a brand new year, and I felt the amazing energy is changing. And also in the session they talk about one very important thing, and that is how we need to, they talk about a method. Okay, they talk about a key. It's like a key or a method to balance our consciousness. Now this is one of the concepts which I believe I have not heard from any other source. Okay, the balancing of consciousness. Okay, so they talk about how we can balance our consciousness, and they give us one simple key or a method to do that. So this one was really interesting. And the other thing they talk about in the session, as I had queried about the past incarnation of David Icke. Now for those of you who do not know David Icke, David Icke is, okay, I'm so sorry, he is still alive. He is one of those entities who had raised a lot of awareness amongst the people, right, by telling about certain information. And yeah, he has raised a lot of awareness, and because of that, I wanted to know what he has done. And it's really interesting. Okay, like his past life is, I am telling you, this is so out there and so interesting. And also this session has a lot of timeline predictions about what will happen on 2022. And also they give us what we can expect. So how we can also prepare is also given in the session. So without much further ado, here is the session, my friends.
We are the Galactic Federation, and we communicate now. We scan this instrument's mind complex for queries, and we have spotted that this instrument desires to understand about the probable timelines for the year 2022, which is now upon your planetary vibration. As well as this entity has placed queries pertaining to the past soul evolutionary cycle of an entity known by your people as David Icke in your language terms. And before we start this communication, we would like to warn each entity who shall come in contact with this information to exercise utmost discernment, as your language of the Earth planet does not have the full capacity of providing complete information due to the lack of language variable nature of reality, which cannot be used for the purpose of communication by us. However, we communicate now from our station in the Saturn Council. As many of you upon your planetary sphere, many entities are already aware of, that this new year, the year of 2022, can be considered as the year of great awakening. For within this year, as far as we can scan the probable timelines of your planetary vibration, there are going to be massive events which will lead people of your planet to not only awaken to the truth, but they will also begin to encounter the truth within themselves more and more. We shall now share with you that the timelines are probable, meaning that each entity upon your human mind, body and spirit complex as a earthly entity has the right to choose its vibration either of positive or negative nature, and it can choose its vibration of either responding or approaching the incarnation from the heart center or from any other center in the bodily complex. For there are many upon your planet who will feel the uncomfort of approaching the incarnation from the fourth density heart energy center. Hence they will most likely return back to their third density reality, which has created a type of comfort for their incarnation to occur. Hence we can already sense that upon your planetary sphere there will be varied types of energies which shall shake to the core of the planetary vibration. However, upon scanning the baseline of the planetary vibration we operate, and now we can share that upon the space-time known as 2022 of your New Year timeline, there is a chance for the creation of a new social memory complex, which only gets created as entities approach into the fourth density positive timeline. As we have already stated before, Earth is now stabilizing in the energies of the beginning stages of the fourth density. Hence the creation of a social memory complex inside the consciousness of your human collective shall be created in the year of 2022 if the progress of entities upon your planetary space-time remains at a rapid pace, at a pace which is similar to the pace which is ongoing upon your current timeline, which means that there will be entities who are awakening more and more faster. We can also state that as we scan your planetary probable future timelines, there are two social memory complexes which can be noted upon your planet. The first social memory complex is created by the entities who are a part of the fourth density positive heart-centered vibration, whereas the other social memory complex is composed of the old entities who are part of the old third density reality. However, the old third density social memory complex cannot be considered as a complete social memory complex because they have no ability of conjuring the fact that there is unity within each being. This is the reason why the only social memory complex which shall operate as a united social memory complex in the spiritual planes will be that of the fourth density being entities. There will be disintegration of the third density social memory complex, meaning that each entity will become the old version of their own self as they return back to their previous vibration. Furthermore, there will be two types of people upon your planet who shall determine the fate of the Earth planet. These will be people who shall choose the pathway of fourth density positive timeline, or there will be people who shall choose the pathway of remaining in the third density. And we can scan and sense that upon your planetary sphere, because of the creation of these two types of spiritual energies, the so-called elites of the Earth planets who are under the influence of negatively oriented beings will try to create a massive amount of force upon the third density physical vehicles of beings who are still on the vibration of third density, meaning that they will try to create more force, more strict rules and controls in order to control the human collective and in order to prevent many entities from entering the fourth density vibration of love. This they are achieving by keeping entities on the lower energy centers of the red ray, the orange ray and the yellow ray, because when entities have an imbalance in the chakras of the lower energy centers, there is no opportune moment for the activation of the green ray energy center, which requires the balancing of all the lower energy centers. Because the primary energy centers of the red ray dictates the survival aspect, hence the elites of the planets, they are trying to create more rules, more fear, so that the people of your planetary vibration respond at a baseline vibration of fear or trigger the survival aspect within their bodily complex. Because once they trigger the survival aspect within the bodily complex, the red ray imbalances occur, meaning that entities will be entangled in the red ray vibration, not being able to transition into the higher vibration. This is a strategy which we can sense that beings upon the Earth planet will have to face. Furthermore, we can also sense that there will be more exchanges of the elites upon your planet with the entities from the Orions as per a future timeline. Probable activation of the Akashic records, we can sense that upon the planetary sphere during the year 2022, there will be many beings or the so-called elites who shall travel to Mars in order to exchange their bodily complex for the negative-oriented being's soul will completely be exchanged. Therefore, they will not be a human soul in the long run. This will create havoc upon your planetary sphere, for they will have no compassion for the beings of your Earth planet. Once they have exchanged themselves, they will only want to create control and other aspects of fear and survival, triggering aspect upon the Earth planet. We can also sense that they want to implant all entities with the so-called nano devices for the purpose of tracking. However, we can already sense that the human planetary sphere is now facing a privacy issue, as many people are already being tracked by the so-called elites using advanced technology such as face recognition, etc. This is being done in order to provide data to the Orion entities who are lost in the Mars planets to work out the best strategies to infringe upon the free will of the Lightworkers. However, we as the Galactic Federation are also sensing that the people of your planetary sphere, because of many of our messages as well as messages from other beings, have become much more aware. However, time will tell which shall dictate the future. Now, we shall state that upon your planetary sphere, the first contact with the human population in an open manner is decided to occur in the year of 2022, and we, the Galactic Federation, along with the Council, have decided if the planetary vibration continues to be stable, we shall openly approach your people. This is also the reason why many of the so-called people upon your planet who work for the agency known as NASA have hired many of the theologians to study the creation or the reactions of people of your planet on the exposure of alien life completely. This is done because the entities who work for the organization as known by your people in your vibration complex as NASA are already aware of the existence of many of the beings, for we have also met with these beings many a times during their lunar missions as well. Hence they are working finally to prepare the human population to be ready for open contact. If this happens, this would mean the end of all religions as you know upon your planet, for people will begin to mistrust any of the religious beliefs that they had before. Besides a few entities who will still believe in their old pathway of religious system, this will create the ending of separation based on the religious beliefs and creation of a unification, as each entity will begin to understand the Creator lies within each being. Now we shall share with you a type of information which is very useful for you people for the year 2022. This is an important aspect which many amongst your planet must apply if they desire to balance the world as well as balance their own illusory reality. For the reality upon which each entity finds itself in currently is created by their own consciousness. Even though many may disregard this fact that consciousness creates the outside world and everything in and around you, for all situations are created by your own consciousness. Even the so-called earthquakes or other earthly natural disasters are conjured by an imbalance of consciousness in your human collective. Because of this aspect, we would like to state that in the year 2022, the best advantage will be for those people who learn the balancing of their own consciousness, which can be achieved by firstly focusing completely inside their own mind complex by taking an image from the outside world and focusing on that image and not letting any other images come inside the mind. This can be performed by entities during the sleep state, which will be fruitful for many entities who shall be able to use their imaginary sequences to understand that if they are able to keep their images in the mind complex to a minimum of one image, this will allow the balancing of consciousness soon to begin. A minimum of 10 minutes a day shall be applied by those entities who desire to balance their consciousness, because a balance of consciousness leads to a balance in the outside world, leading to the balance even in the planetary vibration. This is the reason why there are volcanoes and earthquakes occurring upon the planet. Some of these events are created by those negative targeted energies. However, there are others which are a byproduct of the imbalance of consciousness which occurs upon the human collective. Hence, we, the Galactic Federation, find the need to share this method at this time space. For after the balancing of the mind complex and the imagination sequences is completed, there will be harmony outside your own illusory reality as well as harmony upon the planets. We shall now address the final query placed by this instrument, which pertains to the evolutionary cycle of an entity known as David Icke, who incarnated on this Earth planet on 1952. And before we share this information pertaining to the soul evolutionary pathway of this entity, remember to exercise utmost discernment, for your discernment is highly advised. And because of your discernment, you must remember to only accept those thought forms which resonate. This entity known as David Icke has multiple timelines of its evolutionary pathway. Hence, we are now going to share with you one space-time leading up to the current timeline. It began its first density evolutionary pathway in the planet known as Nibiru. In the planet Nibiru, this entity began to learn the lessons of the first density, fire element, and spending its time most as a lightning entity. Because of the lightnings that used to occur on that planet, it took on the form of the lightning entity, trying to learn the lessons of beingness. After a period of around 155,000 years, it began to merge into the second density vibration, which allowed it to learn the lessons as a tree life form, similar to the trees which can be detected upon your planets. This occurred in the planet Nibiru, and this entity was adopted by the negatively oriented Anunnaki forces during that space-time. Because the planet Nibiru during the time of this entity's incarnation was dissected into the two social memory complexes, the positive Anunnaki forces as well as the negative Anunnaki forces in the planet Nibiru. This entity, because of being adopted by the negative side in the beginning, faced a lot of negative energy as catalyst. As this entity spent its life as a pet life form, later on it merged with the third density consciousness as a Nibiru entity in the form of a Anunnaki mind, body, and spirit complex. In the Anunnaki collective, this entity started to learn the lessons as a third density Anunnaki entity. This entity, however, was of a extremely positive nature in the beginning stages of its incarnation, and in the middle stages of its incarnation of the third density. Because its soul signature was of a positive type, this entity created a revolution against the negatively oriented Anunnaki forces by exposing their plans amongst the Anunnaki population. This led to the creation of bisection of two types of people upon the Anunnaki collective: the ones who were slaves to the negatively oriented Anunnaki forces and who believed in them, and the others who had awakened and who had realized their negative plans and who started to revolt against this. This led to the creation of the Great Anunnaki War in the planet Nibiru. This entity was of a positively oriented nature. However, the Anunnaki forces were extremely negatively oriented, and because of the war that occurred, the negatively oriented overtook the positively oriented ones, and this entity was so-called killed by the negatively oriented entities in a very painful manner. Hence, this entity spent some healing time on the astral planes, and because of its progress of polarity in the positive side, and because it was able to forgive the negatively oriented entities, it was clean in terms of the karma collected. Hence, it was sent as a wanderer. Since it was extremely positive, it was given the station of a wandering soul, as it has also achieved the fourth density beginning sub-octave vibration. It was sent to the planet Earth as a first wave of wanderers on the timeline of 1952. However, in the beginning of its incarnation, it was unconscious to its purpose, but later on it began to realize its true purpose, and it began to communicate with its soul guides and with other interdimensional beings in a telepathic manner, leading it to understand the nature of reality more and more. However, many of the aspects written in the so-called books by these entities is a fiction or creation of imagination with a mixture of truth. There are certain truths which have been interlaid within the works of this entity. The truth about the reptilian souls upon the planetary sphere can be considered as valid. However, there are many other aspects which this entity has created which are completely false. Hence, discernment is advised, but the main purpose of this entity in this incarnation is to awaken the planetary sphere to the vibrations. We can sense that this entity has tried a lot and also created a large amount of confusion, but still awakening a large number of people in the long run. Therefore, this is neither good nor bad, as we do not judge other entities. Hence, we as the Galactic Federation disconnect in love light of the one Creator. We leave you now. Bye.
So my friends, after watching the session, I'm going to give you a brief explanation of what I have learned from this session. I had to write it down, of course, because this session was like huge, and basically, the Galactic Federation, they talk about the timelines for 2022, and one of the things that I remember from this session is they talk about the creation of a social memory complex. Now, a social memory complex is like a collection of beings who are vibrating at a certain vibration, and this usually occurs when a planet is in the fourth density vibration, right? So I believe this is the beginning stages of the creation of our social memory complex in the positive type. Okay, and they also have stated that there are going to be two types of social memory complexes. One is the fourth density positive, and the other one is the old social memory complex. Okay, so I don't think it's they said it's not like a social memory complex, because they are merging and they are breaking away, they are separating themselves again and again. Okay, so it may not be considered as a social memory complex. So in essence, there is one social memory complex, which is the social memory complex of the fourth density positive vibration, right, which we will be part of if we choose the path of heart-centered. And they also said in the session that there is a chance of extraterrestrial open contacts to occur. They said in the session that this year could be the year wherein there will be a first extraterrestrial contact, and this is also one of the reasons why I searched on the internet, and I did not know about this before. They said that NASA was doing something to prepare humans to be ready for extraterrestrial information, right? So I found on the internet that NASA was actually doing something. Okay, so I'm going to play that clip over here, if I find it. Okay, so as per the information, I think people are being prepared to what to expect in the coming 2022 year. Okay, so they said that there could be full open contact, like physical open contact in the year 2022, because I believe we are now ready. And they also said that because of the open contact, if it occurs, okay, in that timeline, many of the people's religions will be void. I believe this will happen because people once the higher density beings, they show themselves, people will completely forget about their old religion. Okay, they will I think they will be confused in the beginning, but we will not be confused, right? Because we already know that we are the creators. And of course, there will be a lot of confusion. This is the reason why I believe the preparation or the getting used to this type of information is very important for people, if they want to awaken fully, right? And the other thing they talk about, this one was really fascinating. Okay, they said that in the year 2022, the Orions, they have seen this. Okay, I think they have seen this in their timeline, right? They have seen this, that the elites of our planet, they go to Mars and then they get their soul replaced. Or maybe the reptilian souls or the Anunnaki souls or the Orion souls come inside their physical body, right? So they will no longer be a human body. So I don't know how they will do that, but they said that, okay, in the session. So they have to go to Mars to do that. Okay, I think it's not like a soul swap, but it's a different thing. So yeah, the other thing they said is how our consciousness is creating reality. Okay, they said that everything that we hold in our consciousness is reflected outward. So if we have a good thought form or a good vibration, it gets reflected outward, right? If we have a negative thought form or a negative vibration, it gets reflected outwards, right? So they also said that all the events that happen on the planet Earth, like earthquakes, volcanoes and other things, they are mostly created by our own imbalances in the consciousness or the collective of humanity. Okay, since there is imbalances, that causes such events to occur. So this one was really interesting for me. And they tell us that there is a simple process or a key which we can use to balance the consciousness, and that is using an image. So I found this really interesting. I need to try it because I just finished the session. I just listened to the session. I have to try it myself. So I'm going to try it later on. What they said is we can use images in our mind. So if we are able to keep an image completely, like just keep an image, okay, in our mind without bringing any other image, just keep that image, okay, in our mind for as long as we can. At least they said 10 minutes a day, right? So maybe during a sleep state you can try this. That way your consciousness will become more balanced. Okay, this is like a different kind of concept. I had never heard about it before, right? So anyways, I'm going to try that. And other thing they talk about is the past life of David Icke. Now, let me tell you, this one was really interesting in an essence, because what they said was David Icke started on the planet Nibiru. Now we have heard about Nibiru, right? This is an interesting planet. I need to query about Nibiru in the past. In the future, I will query more details, okay? Because I wanted to know. And they said that David Icke started on Nibiru, right? So it's interesting, and he his soul in the Nibiru planet also had done almost a similar thing that he's doing now. He's exposing the elites, their plans, their agendas, the reptilians, and their kind of stuff, and they said that there are some misinformation also in there in his information, but also most of them are true, right? So we need to use discernment. Okay, this is what they said. And of course, but I think he did a good thing by exposing the elites, because more people are awakening, right, to the truth. And this one was really fascinating for me, and I hope you also learned a lot from the session. And without taking much of your time, I would like to say thank you so much for watching the video, and also thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon, wherein I am putting content which sometimes I cannot share on YouTube, okay, about those kind of stuff. And also I share other kind of content on my Patreon, okay, channeling sessions. And also I want to say big thank you to all of those people who have sent me emails for the past life. I will help you out as I get time. And I need to say thank you so much. See you in the next video. Thank you.